I'm Jenn Thom, and I lead data science at Code for America. We're here to share with you today what we've been up to in our AI studio over the past few months. And I'm really excited to be in conversation with two of our amazing partners who've been with us since the beginning of this journey. Turn it over to you guys to introduce yourselves.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hailey Leek. I'm the innovation team lead from Salt Lake City Corporation.
And I'm Alford, Director of Content and Digital Services at the state of Georgia.
So I think you've been a little framed up for this problem, but I'd love to see a show of hands. Who has felt completely frustrated by a PDF at some point in your life? Right? It's a Friday morning. I think you have all felt this pain, right? So PDFs are a universal problem in government. They are everywhere. There are way too many of them. They're really frustrating for users to fill out. They're really time-consuming for staff who need to deal with these PDFs. But most importantly, they are inaccessible and they leave people out. Hailey and Will, why is this PDF problem so urgent right now?
OK, so mark your calendars for April 2026. This is when a new federal web accessibility law will go into effect. This law will require all state and local governments to ensure that their websites, including any downloadable documents and mobile apps, are accessible to people with disabilities. And I'm talking about your beautiful memos, your commission meeting minutes, your 200-page document about a park being built, down to a flyer about trash collections. All these documents must be accessible for screen readers and other adaptive technology. It's a huge task. It's a big undertaking, but it's so critical. 1 in 4 Americans live with a disability, so we have to ensure that our government websites and downloadable documents are accessible to everybody in our community.
Yeah, it's such an important problem. Will, what about you?
Well, in Georgia, we've been aligned with the federal accessibility standards since 2015. And so I don't think our agencies or that we really were that worried about this new rule coming down because we're pretty much in alignment. But the document piece is new for us, and so that's going to be a big task, definitely.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a last mile problem, and so we at the Code for America AI Studio, heard Hailey and Will and thought, hey, you know what? I think there's a lot of potential to use AI to help, deal with this workflow, deal with these problems. So let's get into it and show you how this tool works. So the first thing we do is we go to your government websites and crawl all of the domains within that website, so across departments, across agencies, and we take all of those PDFs and we put them in a long list. And so Hailey, the first time we showed you this list, how did you feel?
Terrified. We have over 9,000 documents on our website. I was thinking of all the people lining up to sue the city if they're not accessible. And we have some really old documents on our website. Some are 20 years old, still in use. Wow. Fun fact, our oldest document is from 1998. Raise your hand if you were born after that. And let me tell you, this document, too, it is a clip art masterpiece. Like, they do not make that, digitally, that graphics anymore. But this tool really allowed us to see what we are up against. It allowed us to see all the documents in one place and know where to begin.
I feel like I can imagine the PDF and the Comic Sans and the Clippy all over it, for sure. Some of these older PDFs that Hailey's talking about, it's a mystery who created these, like years ago, 30 years ago, right? So the person who's reviewing these PDFs, they have no idea who created it, right? So to deal with that, we grab a summary of the metadata while we're doing this crawl. And this is things like the title, the page count, the length, and some of the keywords that are associated with this PDF. So instead of trying to find someone who might remember why this PDF was created, we've provided a little bit of context so that you have a little more information while you're reviewing a PDF. And in another way that we save more time with AI is we enable a decision-making process, right? And so we've created this decision column where we use AI to suggest an action for each PDF. So we use AI to compare it against some of the policy, and we suggest an action as a result of that policy, right? So you can either remediate that PDF or take further action, convert it to web content, or archive it. And so, Hailey, how has this decision-making feature helped with your team and how they do their work?
It's a game changer. Most of our web content managers are not ADA experts as well. So this tool gives our teams enough insight and to make those decisions on if if PDF, other documents need to be converted to web content, if they need to be archived, or if they actually do need to be remediated. So this tool is so helpful, and it just provides enough information to not be overwhelming. Instead, it really will guide our decisions on what documents to focus on.
So we're going to shift gears and move to the state context. So we're still looking at a list of PDFs, but when you're working at the state level, the scale, it's just a whole different story. And so, Will, I'd love to hear a little more about the magnitude of the problem that you're dealing with in Georgia today.
Yeah, so when you guys crawled our websites, just the Georgia.gov, so that's not even the entirety of state-owned websites, 55,000 PDFs.
Terrifying.
For the state of Georgia.
Also terrifying, right?
And we estimate that probably just our back of the napkin guess is like a third of those are going to need to be remediated as part of this new rule. So it's quite a daunting task, and we sort of need help in identifying that and what needs to be done.
Yeah, so another place where we used AI, right? So we know in those thousands and thousands of PDFs, they aren't just about text. There are images, there are diagrams, there are maps. And these show up, and they need to be remediated in some way. And one way that we use AI to help start that process is to understand what's in that image and generate a short summary of text based on what we have learned from that image. And so that short summary, we can use that to create alternative text and kind of jumpstart that process instead of starting from scratch. And alternative text is important because you can use that to tag images so that a screen reader can make that more accessible. We're also using AI to classify PDFs, so to sort of discover what type of PDF it is. And so then someone who's reviewing PDFs can filter by document type. Will, how would your team sort of use this type of feature as they go through reviewing PDFs?
Yeah, so I think when we talk to our agencies, we're like, it's a big task. You're going to need to prioritize your work. And so it looks like forms, fillable forms, things like that might be the something you need to focus on right away because it's going to take the most time and you might have to be redone from scratch. So this is a great way to kind of classify these types of documents and prioritize your work. Help focus on, what needs to get done and when you can kind of lay it out, the project.
Yeah, and then in talking to Will and Hailey's teams, right, we heard that it is a daunting a problem of like a large magnitude under a really tight timeline. It's less than a year away. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was provide a way for people who are doing the reviewing to track their progress over time. So we were able to add a dashboard based on sort of the actions that were taken within the reviewing workflows. And so, Will, I know that Georgia is a huge fan of dashboards and uses dashboards in a lot of their work. Can you talk about how you and your teams employ dashboards?
We do love a dashboard. And
I bet many of you also like dashboards.
It just helps us communicate our progress, and whether it's to leadership or in a meeting or even just within the team to kind of see what's been done and how far we have to go. It's also transparent to other stakeholders, and you can also see in this particular thing, you could see how well you're doing against other state agencies and things like that. So there might be a little bit of competition to see who can make it to the finish line. I don't know, but we do like to chart our progress and kind of see where we are that way.
And that competition is all friendly?
Friendly, of course.
Friendly.
Of course. We're all in this. We're all in this together.
So if you are intrigued and excited by what you've heard today, we've got some really exciting news for you. We are excited to announce that we've made this tool open source, and the code is now available on our GitHub repo. You can find it at this QR code. We want to thank JP Morgan Chase and Google.org for their investment in our AI studio, which has made a lot of this work possible. And if you want to know even more about the tech behind this tool, come to the demo lab to talk to the brilliant engineers and data scientists who have made this tool possible. They are very excited to hear about your PDF problems. Do not hold back. And so also while you're there, please make sure to check out all of the other innovative tools at the demo lab. Thank you, Hailey and Will, for being such amazing partners and for this really great conversation. Thanks to all of you for sharing your PDF problems, and enjoy the rest of your summit.